am the internet police.
Welcome to the Game Case, a show for, well, anyone that plays World of Warcraft. The show rife with ramblings, tips, tricks, and goings-on in WoW. Here's your host, Chris Case.
Hello, hi, howdy, and welcome to episode 14 of the Game Case. I am Chris, also known as Cuddles, a brewmaster monk on Airy Peak in the Convert to Raid Guild. This week, I'm going to run down my week in WoW, the latest out of Irvine, give you the latest on what's going on in the Race to World First, announce the winner of the Good Deed in Draenor contest, and give you a word of advice for dealing with the haters. So let's dive right in and talk about my week in WoW. Once more, it has been an incredible week. My Saturday and Sunday team, Ascendant, has not only decided that we're going to be transferring to Convert to Raid, which is an absolutely phenomenal thing. There's been a new addition of a raid builder tool that is incredible. It allows you to show your team, have all the members highlighted on there. It'll actually even show if anyone on the team is live streaming, so that when you're raiding, if anybody streams on Twitch, it'll be right there on the site. It allows you to recruit specific classes. It allows people to sign up as free agents. Just a really, really cool tool that's gonna hopefully make raiding and finding a raid team a lot easier, especially in a guild our size with over 7,000 members in Convert to Raid. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to find that raid team that fits you. So Ascendant and myself and everyone in the CTR community is super hyped, super excited for this raid builder tool. Ascendant's coming over to Convert to Raid. We're going to do some transfers this week. It's going to be a blast. But more importantly, we went 3 of 10 this weekend. So we have officially downed 3 bosses in Hellfire Citadel. We got the Hellfire Assault, we got the Iron Reaver, we got Cormac, which Cormac, wow, that is a super fun fight. People are saying, Cormac 2.0. I don't know that I'd say that, but it was a lot of fun. There's 3 different pools. He jumps around to these different pools. He pulls different abilities from each one. And I'll tell you what, just super, super fun to deal with as a tank. I had a blast. We killed the boss. We got some loot. And guys, that's what raiding is all about. Now, my team, Rubber Chicken Coalition, my Tuesday team, we went to a 10 this week. We didn't get Cormac down. But I'll tell you what we did is we progressed very well on him. Each and every pull was a little bit closer. We ended up, I think we had him down to about 10% on our best pull. So next week, I'm very confident that we're going to get in there. We're going to get Cormac down. And then we're going to move on to the council, see what's happening with them, and try to smack them in the face. The one thing that I will say about Rubber Chicken Coalition is, hey, you know what? We one-shotted both the first 2 bosses. So we might be 2 of 10, but we already have those 2 on farm. So we are definitely having a good time in there. Now, I got a Kha'Zix kill, which Kha'Zix is one of the world bosses out there in Draenor. So had a lot of fun with him. Didn't get any loot, but really cool to just jump in a group, see some other members of the community, and get a world boss kill. He is a lot of fun. We had a full group of 40. It wasn't, I queued up as a healer, not my main spec, but everybody stayed up, everyone stayed alive, and we got the guy down. So that's what's important. Outside of that, we had an absolute blast this week in something called a guided lore tour of Karazhan. Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, what we did was we went through the old Karazhan raid, and we had Alessander, who, if you listen to any podcast, you've probably heard of Alessander. She is very, very well known in the podcast community. She's an avid podcast listener, sends a lot of questions into a lot of different shows. She is an incredible young lady. She volunteered to come in and do this lore tour with us. So we went through Karazhan, we stopped, we looked at the pictures, we talked about the background. It was a blast. I learned more in that about hour and a half about World of Warcraft than I probably have in the last few months. It was wonderful. Everybody had a great time. I did get the opportunity to record that and post that up on YouTube. So if you're at all interested, go to youtube.com/thegamecase and you can find it under the CTR events playlist. It's the most recently updated video, of course, in that playlist. There will be more to come. We do have a pet battle tournament coming up. So for those of y'all that are in Convert to Raid, super fun stuff happening. I'll be doing the Achievement Club tomorrow night with Drosera. All I can say about the event planning staff, and I'm speaking about everyone else, not just me, is these folks work so hard. They put together so many incredible events, and it's one of the reasons that I absolutely love being in a mega guild. It's not just about the raid teams. It's about these events that bring us all together and these unique things that we're able to be a part of in the community. So go check that out on YouTube. Alessander, thank you again. Now, outside of all that fun stuff, of course, the World of Garrison Craft. Did all of my Garrison missions, still sending followers out. Definitely noticed the gold nerf. It was one of the things that they said in patch 6.2. And I'm almost going to exactly quote Kaz from Worgen's Howl on this, because Kaz, you said this perfectly. And it was that Blizzard came out and said that they were going to, that they needed to incentivize garrisons to make them desirable for people to do. And then, of course, they came out and said, well, we did it too much. And now what's kind of happened with the shipyard especially is they've gone to that other side. We have 3-day missions now. 3-day missions. Missions that take 3 days. 3 days. 72 hours. 3 work days, Monday to Wednesday. That are going to give you 100 gold. That is ridiculous. You want to talk about disincentivizing someone? I can go out and get 100 gold in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on what you're doing out in the world. And they're giving us a garrison mission that's going to risk losing a ship for 100 gold. It does not feel rewarding, but it is a whole lot of fun. Even outside of that kind of that diminished return, you're sending these ships out and they have these cool little abilities, and I have not gotten a Murloc crew yet. I'm waiting for that. Have a few Worgen crews, have a gnome crew, and I believe I have a human crew. But I'm waiting. I've heard that there's a Murloc crew out there. Blizzard, where are my Murlocs? I definitely want one of those. And Blizzard, we'll touch a little bit on it coming up here, but they have said that they are going to be working on that. So how do I know that? Well, there was an interview with Corey Stockton, yet another one. We mentioned one last week that he did with Scott Johnson, and there was some great content out of that interview, some really cool stuff. I highly suggest go back and look at episode 13's show notes and go check out that interview with Scott and Mumper. But there wasn't really anything revolutionary, nothing groundbreaking out of that interview. Now, that didn't happen in the most recent interview that Mumper did, and that was with Mammy Twink, which is a French WoW news site, and he definitely came out with a lot of news and a lot of things that definitely made me, I can't speak for the rest of the community, but they made me feel really good. The interview with Mumpers, I'm going to touch on a couple of the highlights. I'm not gonna read a full transcript for you. I will of course have a link in the show notes if you would like to go watch the entirety of it. It is about 38 minutes long. It's definitely worth a listen. Definitely worth a listen. Also, if you speak French, it's a interview for a French site. The interview was done in English. I don't think Corey speaks French, but it is available with French transcripts, of course, for those that are fans of Mammy Twink and only speak French, which, now that I say that, why would you be listening to my show if you only speak French? Because then you wouldn't understand me, and that would be bonjour. I just exhausted all my French. But moving on. So he starts off talking a little bit about this interesting tech that they're using, and this has been around for a while with cross-realm like play and events and stuff like that. But Corey kind of dives into a little bit. He calls it sharding, and that is sharding for anyone that may have misheard that. But he talks about sharding, where if you go into a certain part of a zone, and they have the ability to do this to a small area, a large area, a whole zone, whatever they want to do. Specifically, they've been doing this around rares. So where a rare spawns, you may have several instances of that location on your server. Now, this has caused some problems because when rares spawn, they yell across an entire zone. So you rush over to where you think this rare is, and he's not there. But your buddy on the same server says, no, he's right here, because he's on a different shard. Now, Corey did go on to say that they will be fixing that, and Mammy Twink asked the very, very interesting question of, is this the death of servers? If you have this ability to instance everything and bring people in and load balance it, is this the death of servers? Corey was fairly definitive, of course, never say never, but he was fairly definitive in saying that he wanted to maintain the kind of the identity of our servers, but at the same time, give us the experience of playing in a populated world. So even low to medium pop servers, you can go out into the world, you can go into some of these places where you're out questing and still feel like you're not there totally alone. Your auction house can have some activity, and they're not having to do things like joining servers and connecting realms, and they don't kind of have to go to that scale. They're able to shard some of these things, and that's really neat. Like, I don't totally understand the tech behind it, but that just sounds cool. That sounds like a really interesting development. Like I said, I know Crossroam's been around for a while, but I've never really heard it talked about in this fashion. So it was very neat to hear about that. Now, next up, they talked a little bit about how he was going to be working on that, and then dove into shipyards. And that's where I mentioned, the 3-day 100 gold missions. They're going to be adjusting that. Now, of course, there are missions out there that reward you with raid loot. Corey did warn that those missions will take some time. Those are the more rewarding, higher value missions. For me right now, since I'm raiding normal, I have a mission up that is for a normal cache. And that was a 3-day mission. Now, I don't know if they'll adjust that at all, but he said that they will be adjusting some of the lower rewards missions. Now, we know how Blizzard does things. They go all out or not at all. So it'll be interesting to see how they take that 3-day mission and what they scale it back to. Are they going to come back to a couple hours? Are they going to come back to 1 day? It's one of those things where my one gripe about the shipyard is you go to your shipyard. We're used to our garrison tables where we send out followers on missions. We come back a few hours later. We collect whatever they have. And now with the shipyards, you go to your garrison table, you send your ships out, and then you wait till like the end of the week to get them back. They're going to adjust that. Like I said, I will be very interested to see how they adjust that and to what degree. It should be really cool. Now, after that, that will be addressed in a hotfix. Let me take that back. He said that he was hoping to address that in a hotfix. So we don't know if this will be part of the 6.2.x patch that will include flying, or it's going to be pushed out sooner. But the great thing is Blizzard is aware of it. They're working on it. They're going to change it. And I mean, what can you ask more than a developer that rolls something out, sees that it doesn't work, and fixes it? That's one of the great things about Blizz, and you cannot fault them for that. Even times that they get things wrong, i.e. flying, they've come back and realized what the community needs, and they're fixing it for us. Quite frankly, they would not be around for as long as they have if they didn't listen to their community. As much as the community likes to get up in arms and say, oh, WoW has retreated to their ivory tower, and they don't listen to us. No, they do. I promise you, they do. So, the next thing, and the big news out of this interview, is Mumper said that my dog started barking, and we're going to hope that he stops. So, Mumper said that they don't want to leave players. They don't want to leave players with a year gap in between content. So, I'm going to play a short little sound clip out of that interview.
And so for the future, do you plan to have like 2 red patches per expansion, like general line?
It's a good question. We've kind of gone back and forth. Sometimes we've had 4 patches in a cycle. Sometimes we've had 3. Obviously here we're looking at 2 big patches with 6.1 and 6.2. And I think as you see us kind of hit that goal of the cycle getting shorter between expansions as a whole, I think an obvious impact of that would be that there would be less large patches because there's less time, right, between that cycle. And for us to build a big patch takes a lot of time to be able to do. So I think as you see that shrink, you would see the number of patches shrink along with it. But I can't tell you an exact number. It's always kind of a feel, right? It's like, do we need a patch right now? Does it feel like we need a patch in the next few months that's going to give players something that they want to carry them, because we know that the raid is going to take a little bit longer than we expect, right? But we can't let them go that long, so we need something in the middle, right? So sometimes we have to, we'll come up with something that feels good for a patch. We generally try to have a plan for the story all the way through about, what's going to be at this patch, what's going to be at that. But, just like our community, the game is always changing, right? It's always different. We're going to get feedback. We're going to play it ourselves, feel like something needs to be different. So we just have to keep up with the pulse, right? And we've got to react.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right. So as you can see there, Mumper said specifically that 6.2 should be the last raid tier. Now, he didn't commit to it. He didn't set it in stone like a good PR guy. But he did say that it's going to be most likely the last raid tier. Now, whether or not that means it's the last content patch, whether or not that means it's the last that we see out of Warlords or Draenor, we don't really know. But it seems like Hellfire Citadel is going to be the last raid. So big news there. They've confirmed that. There's been rumors of that. Of course, the community has been speculating, and the dogs are still barking, but we're just going to roll with it. The community has been speculating that it was going to be the last raid tier. They seem like they're pretty happy with where they've wrapped it up. But, we'll see. We'll see. The one thing that I really like that he said is we're constantly taking a look at it. We're playing it. And if it feels like another content patch is necessary, they're going to come out with it. So that's absolutely incredible. That's absolutely awesome. So good job, Blizz, on that one. I would say with what he said there, we're looking at probably an announcement of the X-Pack at Gamescom, probably beta at BlizzCon, and hopefully an X-Pack in April and March. That kind of seems to be the consensus in the community. I am not breaking out I am great Shami and I know the future like persona there. It's kind of common sense. They don't want to leave us too long. If they're going to do this timeline-wise, it makes the most sense to announce at Gamescom, give us a beta at BlizzCon, and then come out early next year in advance of the movie when they're going to have a whole lot of free publicity, or free, quote-unquote, publicity attached with the movie, the trailer, the hype, all that fun stuff. It only makes sense for them to have good content out at that point. So, woohoo! Hellfire Citadel's it. Now, of course, it's probably going to take me a little while to finish Hellfire Citadel. But let's talk about a couple of the folks that it probably won't take a long time to finish Hellfire Citadel. And that's these guys on the screen right here. If you're not watching the live stream, don't worry, I'm going to read what it is. It won't be totally in the dark about what I'm talking about. But what I am talking about, y'all, is the world's first Mythic raiding guilds. They're out there. On Tuesday, Mythic dropped, and these guilds started going at this full force, doing their split heroic raids where they're raiding twice in heroic just to gear up all of their tunes and their alts so they can have the right comp. These guys are raiding, some of them, 17 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. I know I'm new to the WoW community. Maybe this doesn't phase veteran WoW folks, but y'all, 17 hours a day, 7 days a week. Woo! That is incredible. That is a lot of raiding. And as of right now, which it is Thursday at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard. Go ahead and refresh this. Of course, if you are not listening to the show live, if you're listening to a recording, watching us on YouTube, or catching us on iTunes, Stitcher, or thegamecase.com, you can go to wowprogress.com and find the current progression on that site. That's what's up on the screen right now. You guys can see Method is maintaining the lead with 9 of 13. Paragon right behind them, nipping on their heels at 8 of 13. And Midwinter, the U.S. Guild, it's July 4th on Saturday. How cool would it be? And I know they're probably not going to go 13 to 13 on Saturday, but come on, U.S. Guild winning on July 4th. That'd be really cool. But I know a lot of us in the U.S. are cheering for Midwinter. They have the reputation of being a really chill, laid-back, relaxed, kind of non-traditional, hardcore raiding team in that they take things a little bit lighter and they have a little bit more fun than some of the other teams are rumored to. So I'm rooting for Midwinter. I hope the U.S. pulls it out. They were able to get World Third, U.S. First last time, so huzzah for them. They are at 7 of 13. Rounding out the top 5, we have Ascension, which is an Oceanic guild, at 5 of 13. And those guys came out of the gate strong. On Tuesday, from what I heard, they didn't sleep. From when the servers went live... from when the servers went live until I think it was about like 23 hours in, they were pounding on Mythic. I don't know that they were doing the heroic splits that some of the other teams were, because they jumped out to a very quick 3 of 13 lead. Now, of course, as you can see, they're now 4 behind Method, and rounding out that top 5 is Limit, another U.S. raiding team, and from what I've heard, they are a mixture of the remnants of the retired Blood Legion and a few other teams that have come together. And yeah, as Alessander has mentioned in the chat, a lot of these players earned money throughout the rest of the year based on the kind of the status that they achieve by being these epic, mythic, world's first, best of the best raiders. And of course, we get to see a race at BlizzCon, which I'm super excited. This is one of the things that I will not miss at my very first BlizzCon this year. The two top guilds will go head to head in a live raid at BlizzCon, and how cool is that? That's just fun. And that's one of the things that you hear a lot right now is the mythic side of it. There's really no way to televise this. There's no way for us to follow it much past keeping a track of these guys on Twitter and checking out WoW progress, stuff like that. Because they don't want to... The thing is, when you're doing this world's first, if you've ever gone into a raid, say, first day. I talked about this last week. So on Tuesday, my team, Rubber Chicken Coalition, no way are we a world's first team. But we went in there, and all the stuff that we were used to, the guides, the videos, the walkthroughs that do this at this point and don't stand in that and stand over there and do this thing with that guy and that thing with this guy and bring this over there and all that fun stuff wasn't there. So we're just like kind of trying to figure things out. That's what these folks are doing, but on a much harder scale. Increased mechanics, increased damage. You're seeing at sometimes upwards of 200 to 300 pulls on some of these bosses to get them down, and that's an incredible amount of strats to be trying, an incredible amount of things to be throwing at the wall. Also, thank you, Alessander. I did not know about that, actually. There is a Twitter feed, #RaidProgress. You can follow and keep up to date on some of this stuff if you're not wanting to sit and refresh WoW progress each and every 2 to 3 minutes like I do while I'm at work. It's funny, I actually took a nap today. Everybody was 5 of 13. And then all of a sudden I woke up from my nap 2 hours later, 9 of 13, 8 of 13, 7 of 13. It's funny seeing some of these folks get stuck on some bosses and then they just blow through others. It seems like, I'm sure they're not, but it seems like they're almost one-shot in some of these guys. Incredible job on their part. So cheers and kudos, especially go Midwinter, USA. Let's get this done. Let's get this done, guys. And let's show the EU what's up. So now I would like to announce the winner of our Good Deed in Draenor contest. Let me refresh Twitter here one more time. And if I could get a drum roll, please. I don't quite know who I'm asking because that's me. And the winner is... nobody. I have no entries. Did not have a single entry. No, I thought about am I gonna mention this? Am I just gonna shh? But nobody. I'm gonna hope that everyone went out there and did a good deed in Draenor and just forgot to hashtag it. If anybody did, you got another week. I'll give you one more week. Guys, free mount, free pet, whichever one you want off the Blizz store. If there's something else you want, let me know. Is that a silly prize? But go out, hashtag good deed in Draenor. I definitely appreciate, big shout out to Worgen's Hal, Epic Fail, anybody else that went out in the community and mentioned this. Help me get the word out. I know getting people to do things is hard, but I'm sure some good was done in the community. I know I was a little bit more conscious of going out and doing good things for others, so hopefully y'all were too. And thank you to everybody that helped me get the word out. Now, I'd like to take just a moment here, and we're running a little bit long on time because that Mumper's interview was big. But I'd like to take a quick moment and discuss how to kind of handle some of the salt out there. How to handle some of the haters. Maybe you went out and you tried to do a good deed and you got confronted with somebody grumpy. somebody that lashed out at you, or maybe you were in LFR trying to have a good time, and you got that guy that was like, GG no re, go delete your tune and play Candy Crush, cause you're a bad shaman. Yeah. Or whatever it might be. It's very hard in those situations to not take these things personally, to not immediately react, to not. We have as human beings, as living creatures, we have this fight or flight response. When somebody lashes out at you, you either want to run away, or you either bristle up and bare your teeth and you want to fight back. Somebody calls you silly names in LFR, you want to call them a silly ninny right back. You rapscallion, you silly ninny muggins, you can't call me names. But that's not always the best way to handle it. Now, I've been experimenting with something, and I've been doing something with a very miserable amount of success. And that's meeting some of this anger, some of this angst with kindness. And that seems so simple. That seems so silly. Just genuinely responding to people and being kind to them. I've gone so far as in some of the Heroes of the Storm games that I've played, some of the people that are lashing out and being particularly disruptive, angry, or upset, I've whispered to them and been like, "Hey man, is everything okay? You doing all right? I'm sorry I haven't been playing great. It's an off day for me. My first day playing Mirrodin or Murky, or not my first time playing Murky. I have the master skin. Hashtag Murky Master Race. Just want to throw that out there." But whatever it may be, just a little quick whisper like, "Hey man, I know my shamaning isn't quite up to it. I'm just having a bit of an off night. Broke my mouse. I'm trying as hard as I can. Is there anything you think that I could do better?" And just that simple reaching out, connecting with them, and asking if something's wrong. I got one guy over in Heroes of the Storm that said, "Listen, man, I'm sorry. I actually lost my job today, and I'm just in a really, really bad mood." And we ended up talking for like 15, 20 minutes. I didn't get him a new job. I didn't help him pay his electric bill, anything like that. That's outside of my power. But I like to think that I made a little bit of a positive impact in his life. And that's what I'd like to kind of get out to you today, is on the other end of that bad attitude, while you're out having a great attitude and doing good deeds in Draenor, the folks that aren't, they might not. No, there are some, and I'll just say it. There are some that are just straight up dicks. Some people are just mean. This world is not full of sunshine and flowers and rainbows. Sometimes you step in poo, and it's just poo. But the vast majority of people are not like that. And if you take the time and reach out to some of these people, you may find that opportunity to actually really connect with someone and really make a positive difference in their life beyond handing them that piece of gear, that piece of loot. And I'll tell you, a kind word is often all it takes to diffuse the hatred, the salt, the anger of some of these folks in the community. And I actually had my very first piece of Twitter hate this week. I had somebody lash out, call me a few mean names. It really hurt my feelings. It didn't actually. It's the internet. I realize that people are going to be mean. But it's stuff like that can hurt people's feelings. And if you're doing that, stop. Just stop. It's the internet. Come on. You really need to watch somebody's Twitch stream and say something mean to them. Something personally hateful. And if you are the target of something like this, if somebody is lashing out at you, for one, don't let it bother you. I know that's easier said than done, because people can say some very hurtful things. But also, maybe consider meeting that anger with kindness. Reach out and see what's going on with them. That's my honest take on dealing with the salt, bringing yourself out of the salt mines, and maybe bringing somebody else out with you. So that's going to do it for this week. But before I go, I have just a couple of shout outs. First of all, to Alessander for her amazing job with the Karazhan Lore Tour. Alessander, again, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your effort. I know you put some time into researching that, and you definitely put some time in game with us. I, for one, and everyone else there, and everybody that's viewed the video, I've had so much positive feedback on that. If anybody wants to go see that, you can go check that out on youtube.com/thegamecase. And I would highly suggest it's about an hour, 20 minutes. But I promise you, you will learn more in that hour and 20 minutes about Warcraft than you probably have in any other hour and 20 minutes. Alessander's knowledge and her time were greatly, greatly appreciated. Rubber Chicken Coalition, Ascendant, I am so pumped, so excited to see what's going to go down this raid tier. We are just so much. It's coming together in both these teams. Rubber Chicken Coalition has messed. We are a family. We truly are. And Ascendant, we're not far behind. Some of the changes that have been put in place, some of the things that we're doing, we're meshing so much more, and it's an incredible thing to watch both of these teams grow, blossom, and just to be able to have the privilege of being a part of it. So, guys, keep on doing what we're doing. We're gonna run through this tier. I see both of us moving into heroics fairly quickly, definitely before the next X Pack, and we have so much fun. I appreciate all of you. To the amazing folks at the Worgen's Howl podcast, y'all are such a support. You're such an amazing part of the community. Y'all, they have their 50th episode coming up next week. Is that's right there, Kaz? 50 is next week. And they have a contest running. Go listen to episode 49. Find out exactly what that is. And check out worgenhowl.blogspot.com. They are absolutely incredible and amazing people. They put on a great show. And if you don't know this, they're actually a couple. Yep. Kaz and Frosty. It's a very interesting, very cool, and very unique dynamic on that show. So thank you guys for doing what you do. We greatly appreciate it. Cannot wait to hear what happens in episode 50. Y'all rock. Go listen to Worgen's Howl. Last one here to Mr. Navox and everyone on the Converted podcast, which is the official podcast of the Convert to Raid Guild. Navox gave me a little shout out last week, and Navox, thank you so much for that. I greatly appreciate that. He has been a great supporter and a great friend, not just of the show, but of me personally. He's helped me out with a lot of stuff. This green screen that I have behind me, I'm not actually in Hellfire. I know, big surprise. I'm not actually in the Tanaan jungle standing in front of a portal. Sorry to ruin the magic for you. But this is a green screen. He helped me with how to set that up. I knew nothing about it. And just to be recognized on that podcast was an incredible honor. Just as much as it is to be recognized on anyone's podcast. I still cannot believe that I'm doing this and people are listening. And I'm just a guy that likes to play video games and sits in front of a mic. And I would like to thank each and every one of you, whether you've been listening since episode 0 or whether you just came to the podcast. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Now, that is going to do it for episode 14. If you would like to join our live audience and hang out in the chat room, like Kaz, BMW, Alessander, and Frosty Fox are doing tonight, you can come join us on twitch.tv/thegamecase at 10 p.m. Eastern every single Thursday evening. So thank you for listening to episode 14 of The Game Case. You can find me on Twitter at Mullet863. You can find the show at The Game Case Show. You can download us on iTunes and Stitcher, catch recordings of the live show, or our tips, tricks, kill videos, CTR guild events like that incredible Karazhan lore tour by Alessander on youtube.com/thegamecase. Or you can find all the things on the official site of The Game Case Show, thegamecase.com. That's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you, chat room. Thank you, listeners. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Everyone have a wonderful, wonderful night. Game Case out.
Thank you for joining us this week inside The Game Case. Please join us next week for more news, tips, and ramblings about the World of Warcraft. Game Case out.
World of the Warcraft.